Hey everybody, welcome back to A Phone Call with Freedom. I am your host, Sarah Jane. Thanks for showing up in my corner of the world where we talk the universe. So I started this podcast and I have another podcast called the Baddie Broadcast. I started both of these probably about 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and then I fell off because life started lifing, and I talk a little bit more about that in my most recent Baddie Broadcast episode. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely do. But I am beginning my podcasts again, and I'm really excited about it. So thank you so much for being here with me on A Phone Call with Freedom. I started this podcast because years ago, I went through a traumatic event just like everybody else, and it opened me up to a whole different world that existed that I was unaware of. And so I started studying the conscious mind. I started studying the subconscious mind. I started studying the energy field, your aura, the power of meditation, and all these different things. Simultaneously, my father was dying, and I was his primary caretaker. My parents were divorced. So in that space, I'm watching him slowly deteriorate, and you just have a different perspective on life when it's being taken from you, you know? It's crazy how, as humans, we are so stubborn. We are so stubborn. We are not going to change our ways. Usually it takes some type of traumatic event or some type of something crazy to kind of knock us out of what we're doing and into another avenue. And so through the 13-year timeline that my father was dying, I learned a lot. I chose to learn a lot. I chose to participate in the journey rather than be the victim to it. And there was so much that I discovered in that space that I did not know, because they don't teach you this stuff in school, right? It's not hidden anymore. It's like they're not teaching us what we need to know in order to create a happy, healthy lifestyle for ourselves. And so at some point in time, that becomes your responsibility. It's almost like you spend the first 18 years of your life allowing the world to tell you who you are and condition you, having no idea that you're even being conditioned, right? And then by the time you're 18, you have this personality that's been handed to you. And at that point, now you're an adult, it becomes your responsibility to say, I like myself or I don't like myself. Is what I've been told accurate or not? I was lucky enough to have gone through a major tragedy. It was truly a tragedy with my dad. My parents were divorced and my dad was adopted, so we really didn't have any family. So it was primarily him and I. I remember going through the situation and just being like, what the fuck is going on? Why would this be happening to me? And then I realized at the end of it, it wasn't happening to me, it was happening for me. I am better because of the things that I've gone through. And I'm here to share with you that no matter what you're going through, you have the choice to become better on the other side of it. So everything that I learned in my journey, I put into a book. And the book is called Unlocked. And it's about unlocking areas of your mind. Because I think a lot of times people just don't understand how we work. It's just not something we're taught. So there's basic information that as human beings, you have to understand about yourself that you probably don't understand because the information's been withheld for whatever reason until now. So along my journey, I knew I'm at a crossroads. Either I'm going to be very angry and very upset and very like, I can't believe God did this to me, that I had to watch this and I had to go through this and I had to participate in this, or I'm going to find a rhyme and a reason for what happened. So that became my journey. I wrote this book. It's 28 chapters long. And so this podcast, A Phone Call with Freedom, each episode coincides with one chapter of the book. My book is finished. It's just, I'm reading it for like the 25th time because to be honest with you, it has changed as I've changed. I continue to grow. I continue to learn more things. The things that are in this book, they have absolutely helped me become a better version of myself and navigate life way better than what I was taught through society. That's for sure. But I hold the space for it to continue to change, and I'm going to hold the space for myself to continue to change. Although everything that's in the book right now is my current understanding of the universe, and the version that I am right now is important to me, because that version, while she's still growing, she's come a long way. And if you're aligning to this, then so have you. You've been through things, and you're curious, and you're wondering, and the whole world is in a state of evolution, right? Everybody's talking about it. It's not a secret. There's something going on. There's information that we don't know, and it's really hard to create when you're creating from a lack of awareness, right? Like, how am I supposed to, like, for example, the financial structure? Oh, gosh, right? Well, manifestation is a thing. I think a lot of people think manifestation and they immediately go into this kind of like fairy tale, it's like, no, it's literally putting your thought and your feeling combined and projecting that is actually all science. And you can do that. But in order to manifest, what happens is it's not like physical money. And this is one of the chapters that we're going to touch on this podcast. It's not like money where you just, you work, you earn the money, and then you go out and you buy something. But there's no real soul growth in that process. With manifestation, you have to get out of your own way. You have to heal in order to receive. You have to love yourself. You have to follow your intuition. You have to have conversations that you wouldn't have had if you had money. So honestly, being broke was one of the best things that could have happened to me, because I learned how to manifest. There's no way that you're going to tell me I'm not successful because of what my bank account looks like. So you're just not going to tell me that. I'm not going to have it. I don't care if I'm sleeping on a friend's couch. I'm going to wake up every day. I'm going to put an outfit on. I'm going to put my watch on, and I'm going to go out into the world, and I'm going to claim my identity as successful, because I'm allowed to do that regardless of what my finances are. And so are you. So these are things that we have to start understanding, is our mind is conditioned to be small and to put ourselves into small situations. But the truth is, you're so big. You're so big, and you're so beautiful, and you are capable of way more than you're probably aware of. It's just about gaining the information that you need so that you can start implementing changes in your life. And that's why I wrote this book, and that's why I decided to bring back this podcast. It's important to have these conversations. So, the first chapter of this book is called It Starts with Asking Questions. I think for me, my entire journey 100% started by just asking questions. It's really that simple. The mind tends to overcomplicate and make everything look so big. I'm starting this spiritual journey. Like, no, you're in it. You're living life. You're playing the game. And now we just have to learn how the game is played, right? And so it really does start with asking questions. I remember when my dad was dying, and I was praying, and I called on God, and I'm down on my knees, and I'm praying to God to fix the situation. And then I get done my prayer, and I'm just starting to think in my head about things. And it occurs to me, what is God to me? I've always been told what God was, but I never really took the time to ask myself. I understand this is what society says God is, but is that what I think God is? What is the universe? What is God? What are angels? Like, what is all this? And what is the difference between the belief that I currently have about all of it and the belief that I actually want to have? Like, those are two different things. So I started realizing this, and I started asking questions. And what I realized is immediately society will kind of shun you, if you will, for asking questions. Because lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, the whole thing has been kind of shut up, sit down, and just deal with it, right? Well, I got to tell you what, these generations that are here right now, that's not what we're doing. There's people inside of each of these generations right now, humans that are alive on earth, that are not going to shut up, and they are not going to sit down, and they are not going to deal with it. And we see that happening right now, right? That's why this podcast exists, because we're in a space where we've actually evolved so much so that people can speak their truth. And maybe they deal with some ridicule, but you're not getting, hung anymore, right? You're not getting your hand chopped off for speaking up. So we've really come a far way. And I think one of the most important places to start is to just ask questions. And you have to ask yourself everything. I know that I was told this is what God is, but what is my relationship with God? When I started going through those types of questions in my own mind, what I actually discovered was I didn't like saying God, because it was attached to so much religion and so many things that had kind of been pushed down my throat. And I just really didn't mess with that terminology anymore. So as I started really checking in with myself, I was like, I don't even like saying God, really. So what am I going to say? And I started playing with it, and I was like, I really like creator. Because clearly this world has been intelligently designed. Somebody somewhere created it in a way that everything is linked. I mean, you look at our ecosystem, you look at the weather, you look at our connection to the earth. It's incredible. Somebody intelligently created this place. So I thought, well, geez, creator is new. And I like that. And that indicates kind of a new relationship, right? Now, I'm not saying you need to do this. What I'm encouraging you to do is ask yourself these deeper questions. What does the universe look like to me? What do I believe about my purpose and how I showed up here? And don't take the answers that we've been given, which is you probably don't know. When my dad was dying, I was one person in the beginning of everything. And I had these conditioned beliefs. And it was kind of like, I don't really know. I think there's a God. I believe in a God. I believe in a higher power. But I'm down on my knees praying to this higher power, right? Because I'm not worthy and I'm a sinner. And, right, because that's kind of what religion pushes down your throat. And I really don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where I come from. Okay, so that's the belief that was conditioned into my subconscious mind through societal conditioning from my upbringing. So when my dad started dying and I start questioning things, I had to look at the beliefs that I had, and I had to realize I don't know that they're actually healthy for me. This idea that I don't know what's going to happen next. He could go up, he could go down. Hopefully he did okay. Otherwise, he's not getting into the pearly gates. I mean, what kind of belief is that? And it wasn't like a one-stop shop where like, boom, he just died. It was a slow deteriorating over 13 years. Several times where he's back in ICU. He's being medevaced back down to DC. He's got a line infection. The transplant didn't take. I mean, so there's just so many ups and downs, and you're in this space of feeling very unsafe for a long time. So of course I had to start questioning these things. And I think my situation is my situation, but you have a situation that is similar, right? How many times for all of us have we been in situations where this is really hard? This is really, really hard, right? And so it's in those spaces that you're at that crossroads. I'm either going to be mad or I'm going to figure out a rhyme and reason, right? So I start realizing I need to start asking deeper questions. I start really beginning to get to know myself. What do I want? Who am I on a personal level? Just between me and me, not me and society, me and me. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't even want to really say God. I would prefer to say creator. And then I started hearing people talk about the idea of a higher self. Well, what does that mean? So I'm listening to other people, I'm observing and absorbing, and then of course I'm checking in with myself, right? What do I think about that? What does that relationship look like to me? And so everything started slowly developing, and I started to get to know myself because I began asking bigger, deeper questions. The best thing that I could have ever done was question everything that I had been taught. That was the most important turning point of my life, was when I had decided to stop, stand still, go against the grain, and start asking questions. I didn't have to come out like a bull in a china shop, right? I just needed to slow down. Stop following the crowd. Take a moment to be different and individualize myself. I didn't even know who I was. Your entire life is reflective of your current deep-seated subconscious belief structure. Everything that you believe plays a huge part in the reality that you are physically experiencing. The most important thing that you will ever do is start asking some questions to yourself. Allow yourself to develop in ways that we have never been able to, because back in the day, it's just not what you do. You don't go against the grain. You do what you're told. But not anymore. We're here for change. You are here for change. The most important question you ask yourself is going to be about the universe or God, your angels, your higher self. Does life exist outside of here? And here's what I'm going to tell you when you begin working with yourself to develop answers. There is no truth. This is debatable, but let's just say we are truly on a ball floating in space. You come in and you leave. It doesn't matter. There is no truth. All that matters is that you believe something that supports your experience while you're here. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Doesn't matter if it's true or not true. That's been something we've been fed. And how many wars have started because of that silliness? It's so silly. If you want to relate to one another, then we talk science. Everybody has a brain, everybody has a body, everybody has blood. That's a place that we can all relate on. But when it comes to your belief structure, that is a blank canvas for each of us to develop and design our own picture of the universe. We were never supposed to be divided into these huge organizations that believe the same thing. You're never going to see it the same way. You're never going to see it the same way. Think about if you're in a room with somebody. You and this person may be in the same room, but you're not standing exactly where each other is standing, so you're still getting different views. Same room, different views. It doesn't matter how hard you try. That is by design. We are designed to be uniquely different. Your relationship with the universe is yours, but you have to design it in a way that supports your survival. Because when you are going through a hardship, you have to believe something that is actually supporting you. I have to tell you, of course, the idea of a higher power and God, yes, that was supportive. But the beliefs that I have now are way more supportive for me personally. I don't say God, I say creator. And I love that because I feel that there's a creator inside of me. I love to create things. So I feel connected to that. I love the idea of a higher self, a version of me that lives in another world, that has all the answers that I don't have. And I'm connected to them through my feelings, my intuition. The human experience is different. We try to humanize the universe. But the truth is, this world is this world, and this is the only world that you're human in. All the other worlds, you're different. Now, even that right there, some people might not believe there are different worlds. I don't care what you believe, as long as it supports you. So when my father was dying, I started inviting in the idea of a higher self, a version of me that lives somewhere else, which means I started questioning reincarnation. Do I believe that this is a school? Well, to me, that makes sense. Yeah, to me, that makes sense. There's a lot of things that would happen sometimes in life and you can't put it together. And the idea that, well, maybe I created that energy. Maybe I played out the other side of this experience in a different lifetime. And maybe I set it up for me to experience it this way in this lifetime so that I could have a full understanding of the emotions, the experience. Now I can clean it out. Now I can understand it. Now I'm a better soul because I've experienced the good and the bad. The good guy and the bad guy. I've been both. In order to adopt that belief, you have to believe in reincarnation. You have to believe that this is like a school. You're coming in, you're having an experience with all these different people, and you're going out. And then you guys are all replanning together and you're recycling. You're coming back in, you're seeing, can you do a better job than you did before? Now that makes sense to me. I would never push that on anybody else. Nobody else has to believe that. But for me and my experience in the here and now, I need to believe that because that's the only perspective I have to forgive some of the things that have happened to me. So is it right or wrong? Who knows? But does it support my survival? You bet your ass it does. I'm not carrying around that hate because I found a perspective that works. Instead, I've been able to look at the situation and say, you know what? I grew from it. I cleaned up some karma. I let go of some old energy. I learned. And I'm better for it. And the only way I could adopt that belief is by believing in reincarnation. So again, I would never push my beliefs on anybody else. I think that's my biggest thing here is that we have to become balanced enough within our minds to stop letting our belief structure separate us. Everybody's belief is going to be different. It's supposed to be different. And who really cares? You don't know the experience that that person's trying to experience or has to experience and the beliefs that they need to adopt in order to get through that experience. So just encourage them to believe something that supports them. I believe in a higher self, believe in a version of me somewhere else. And you know what? I love it because anytime something happens, I call on myself. And that supports me. I call on Creator. I look for the best perspective available because my beliefs support me in doing so. So the biggest step that you're going to take is asking questions. This whole episode was really just to encourage you to take a big, deep breath and genuinely come out of, I'm not saying like don't be spiritual. Obviously, this is a spiritual quest, right? But I think it's very important as well, while science and spirituality are coupled and do a very beautiful, harmonious dance together, to me, in my eyes, they are still slightly different energies. And I think a lot of people in the world, because of our conditioning, we lean a little bit more toward the science side of things, right? Like we want to see the documentation. We want to see all the paperwork. We want to see the charts. Like, you got to prove to me, And I think it's important for me to press here that when you're talking about your belief structure, this is very scientific. Your mind has been wired to adopt certain beliefs about yourself. So it's important to sit down with yourself and write out, what is God to me? And then fill that out. What is the universe to me? And fill that out. What is my purpose? And fill that out. What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about money? Right? Write these down. What do I believe about love? That's a big one. That's a big one. I'll have to talk about that one on my other podcast, the Baddie broadcast. That's a big one. So ask yourself these questions. What do I believe? And just fill them out and just take a look at them, because this is not about being good or bad or having the right beliefs or not having the right beliefs. All of us have the wrong beliefs right now. And we're all trying to figure it out, okay? Society has completely conditioned us to believe things about ourselves, things about money, things about love that just are literally working against us. It's not because you're flawed. It's not because you're broken. It's the information that you've been taught that is broken. The information that you've been given that's flawed. So you have to take responsibility. It's time for us to take responsibility and start asking questions, because you deserve to have different answers. You deserve to start changing out these old beliefs and bringing in new beliefs. There is nobody that is not qualified for this. All of us are in this together, and we're basically, even though we're all at different spaces, we're going through the same things. At the end of the day, the entire world is looking at the beliefs that we are participating in and saying, this isn't working. This is not working. It's not rocket science, right? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again. So stop for a second, pull yourself out of the crowd, and ask some bigger questions to yourself and validate what your answers become and allow them to develop over time. The universe speaks to you in ways that are through experience, conversations, connections. Allow your answers to develop. Allow yourself to let go of the identity that society has given you and begin embarking on the journey to reclaim your new identity within the universe. At the very least, that's what you deserve. You are so amazing. You are so incredible. You are so worth asking questions. You are so worth talking to yourself. You're so awesome. Like when I started talking to my higher self, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a baddie. Like, all right. And you deserve to be in that same spot. Don't let, because the world told you you're this or you're that. No, you're not. Don't let anybody tell you anything about who you are. Just start asking questions and develop that for yourself. Because I'm telling you right now, you're absolutely incredible. And if you haven't already touched base with that side of yourself, you deserve to. I love you guys. I support you. Thank you so much for loving and supporting me. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Keeps me moving in the right direction. Also, check out my other podcast, A Baddie Broadcast. I post over there every Saturday. And then, of course, I'm right back here with another phone call with freedom every Monday. So have a great week. It's going to be a great week because that's what we're projecting. That's what we're expecting, right? That's what we're setting our intention to be. It's going to be a great week for you, for me. And then I'll see you right back here next Monday for another phone call with freedom.